There is a specific date that changed the history of horror. It wasn't Halloween. It was a dark, rainy night in November. Imagine you are standing in a small, dirty apartment in Ingolstadt, Germany. The room smells of chemicals and old meat. On the floor, there are pieces of a human body stitched together. For 2 years, a young man has enslaved himself to this room. He hasn't slept properly. He hasn't spoken to his family. He has been digging up graves and visiting slaughterhouses, all for this one moment. Welcome back to Stories with Consequences. This is episode 3 of our Frankenstein saga. In episode 1, we saw the dying man on the ice. In episode 2, we saw the tragedy that broke his mind. But today is the day we have all been waiting for. Today, Victor Frankenstein stops being a student and starts being a creator. We are going to witness the grueling process of building the monster, and the terrifying moment it finally opened its yellow eye. When Victor arrives at the University of Ingolstadt, he is still grieving his mother. He is lost. He meets 2 professors who will seal his fate. The first is Professor Kremp. He is a grumpy, unpleasant man who laughs at Victor for reading books on alchemy. He tells Victor, every instant that you have wasted on those books is utterly lost. Kremp tries to force Victor to study boring, normal science. Victor hates him. But then he meets Professor Waldman. Waldman is different. He tells Victor that modern science is powerful. He says that scientists can ascend into the heavens and mock the invisible world with its own shadows. This is the green light Victor was waiting for. Waldman tells him, science can do anything. And Victor thinks, if science can do anything, then why can't it stop death? More, far more, will I achieve, treading in the steps already marked. I will pioneer a new way, explore unknown powers, and unfold to the world the deepest mysteries of creation. This is the moment the consequence begins. He decides he won't just learn. He will become a god. To build a life, you must first study death. Victor becomes obsessed. He spends his nights in charnel houses, places where bones are stored, and graveyards. He watches bodies rot. He studies how the skin changes color, how the muscles decay. Most people would vomit. Victor is fascinated. He eventually discovers the secret of life. The book never explains how he does it. Mary Shelley keeps it vague on purpose. But he figures out how to animate dead tissue. But now he has a problem. He has the spark, but he needs a body. Here's a fact the movies usually leave out. Victor wanted to make a beautiful human, but working with small parts, tiny veins, tiny nerves, was too difficult. It was too slow. So he made a decision based on speed. As the minuteness of the parts formed a great hindrance to my speed, I resolved, contrary to my first intention, to make the being of a gigantic stature, about 8 feet in height. He made the monster huge, 8 feet tall, simply because it was easier to sew together. He chose efficiency over aesthetics. This is a massive lesson in stories with consequences. When you rush a project, when you cut corners to get to the finish line faster, you usually end up creating a disaster. The construction takes 2 years. For 2 years, Victor does not go home. He does not write letters to Elizabeth or his father. He isolates himself completely. He describes falling into a trance. He knows what he is doing is wrong. He says that his heart sickened at the work. He says he shunned his fellow creatures as if he were guilty of a crime. But he couldn't stop. He calls it a hurricane that pushed him forward. I seem to have lost all soul or sensation, but for this one pursuit. This is the danger of obsession. It makes you forget your humanity. Victor thinks he is creating a beautiful being. He picks the best parts, lustrous black hair, pearly white teeth. But because he is in a trance, he doesn't realize that putting beautiful parts onto a giant dead corpse doesn't make it beautiful. It makes it grotesque. He is hallucinating his own success, until the night the eyes open. It is 1 in the morning. The rain is pattering dismally against the panes. The candle is nearly burnt out. Victor is standing over the 8-foot-tall thing he has built. He applies the spark, the instrument of life. And then it happens. I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. It breathed hard, and a convulsive motion agitated its limbs. In the movies, this is where Victor screams it's alive and celebrates. In the book, he is horrified. The moment the creature moves, the trance breaks. Victor suddenly sees what he has actually done. He sees the yellow skin that barely covers the muscles. He sees the watery eyes. He sees the black lips. He wanted to create an angel. He created a demon. The beauty of the dream vanishes instantly. Victor is filled with breathless horror and disgust. He doesn't try to talk to it. He doesn't try to teach it. He does the worst thing a parent can do. He runs away. He runs out of the room, goes to his bedroom, and hides. He falls asleep out of pure exhaustion, hoping that when he wakes up, the thing will be gone. But nightmares don't just disappear. Victor falls into a nightmare-filled sleep. But he wakes up to something even worse. He opens his eyes, and by the dim light of the moon, he sees the monster standing by his bed. The creature is holding up the curtain. It is smiling. It reaches out one hand, trying to touch its creator, trying to say hello, and Victor runs away again. He flees the apartment completely, leaving the newborn monster alone in a world it doesn't understand. Victor has made his choice. He played God, but he refused to be a father. Now the monster is loose. It is confused, strong, and abandoned. Tomorrow, in episode 4, the consequences begin. We will see what happens when the creature meets the rest of humanity, and the first innocent person pays the price. This is Stories with Consequences. Subscribe, or you might miss the warning.